Credible evidence coup d'etat will topple Trump. A gravely worded Ministry of Defense (MOD) report circulating in the Kremlin today states that President Putin has ordered Russian military forces to immediately join with China's Ministry of National Defense (OD) in preparing for accidental and/or provocative nuclear ballistic missile strikes after the Foreign Intelligence Service (SVR) presented credible evidence to the Security Council (SC), showing that President Donald Trump may soon be toppled from power by an internal coup d'etat. According to this report, a coup d'etat is the illegal and overt seizure of a country by the military or other elites within the state apparatus, and that a horrifying U.S. congressional hearing held this past week gave its acquiescence to against President Trump by stunningly showcasing numerous U.S. military experts and former high-level commanders advocating the direct disobeying of Trump's orders, and that mirrors the 1934 business blot coup attempt against President Franklin Roosevelt that had, likewise, attempted to overthrow the government of the United States. Leading this treasonous U.S. congressional hearing, this report details, was Senator Bob Corker, a deep state-aligned anti-Trump swamp monster politician whose level of corruption is so astounding. At least 3 U.S. federal criminal investigations have been launched against him, and whom the SVR has previously identified as being a member of the Palpatine's Revenge Dark Web group using the name Coup, who are planning the coup against Trump. Among the many treasonous statements advocating that the U.S. military refused to take orders from President Trump voiced at this U.S. congressional hearing, this report notes, some of the most horrifying include Senator Chris Murphy stating, "We are concerned the President of the United States is so unstable, is so volatile, and has a decision-making process that is so quixotic that he might order a nuclear weapons strike that is wildly out of step with U.S. security interests." Former nuclear launch commander Bruce Blair stating, "The power to destroy human civilization is unilaterally wielded by one man, who happens to be a career con artist and reality TV star known for his impulsive petulance, short temper and even shorter attention span." And former U.S. Strategic Command Commander General Robert Keller stating, "If there's an illegal order presented to the military is obligated to refuse to follow it." Less than 48 hours after General Robert Keller made his treasonous statement to the U.S. Congress that the U.S. military could refuse to follow President Trump's orders, this report continues, the SVR reported that he visited the Pentagon, and within 2 hours of his being there, the official Department of Defense Twitter account stunningly posted a retweet that shockingly told Trump to resign, but that was subsequently removed with the U.S. military only saying that an authorized user had posted these treasonous words. Upon General Robert Keller leaving the Pentagon, on 16th of November, after this treasonous tweet calling for President Trump to resign was posted, this report says, he then joined with Senator Chris Murphy, Senator Ed Markey and Representative Ted Lieu. Markey and Lieu introduced a bill that would deny Trump the authority to launch nuclear weapons, on a private airline flight to San Diego, California, and upon their landing, were all limousined under heavy private security to the elite Omni La Costa resort. Joining General Keller and these U.S. lawmaker politicians at the elite Omni La Costa resort, this report details, were the feared leftist billionaire globalist George Soros, U.S. Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, and nearly every single high-tech titan in America, and who all had gathered at what is being called a massive dark money conference these coup plotters have named Beyond Resistance, and where the attendees were instructed not to share members' names with the press and not to post to any social media sites, and to contact the Democracy Alliance if the media or a blogger contacts them, and to refrain from leaving sensitive materials out where others may find them, but that the SVR, obviously, ignored. The Beyond Resistance being planned by these deep state plotters, this report grimly explains, is the overthrow of President Trump, and that President Xi confirmed to President Putin in his relating the dire conversation he had just held with King Salman of Saudi Arabia, and wherein King Salman revealed that he was stepping down and would hand over all power to his son Prince Mohammed bin Salman, with Prince bin Salman, also, battling the deep state coup forces against him, and who is presently rounding up and arresting military officers in his kingdom discovered to be a part of this global plot, and that has led to President Xi vowing to use the full military might of China to defend Saudi Arabia. With more hostile troops at the Russian border than at any time since 1941 as this battle between the United States and China over Saudi Arabia rapidly escalates, this report warns, very few Westerners are aware of the grave dangers being posed to the entire world by the deep state beginning its call for democracy to take over this kingdom, and that experts the world over know full well is the last straw the Saudis will tolerate, after which they will implode the entire petrodollar system America derives its wealth from. As the Saudis and China prepare to end the petrodollar forever, thus altering human history, this report details, the deep state's plots to embroil Russia in this conflict, too, have sunk to diabolical depths, and as further evidenced by the shocking statements made by the U.S.-funded snipers who revealed that they were instructed to fire on police and protesters alike in order to ignite chaos in Ukraine, and that led to what the American intelligence giant Stratfor, the shadow CIA, called the most blatant coup in history. Being left with no choice but to declare the United States as negativresposobny, no agreement is possible either because it can't make one or it won't keep it, this report notes. The Americans are now becoming a full rogue state, too, and as shockingly exemplified by the U.S. envoy to the United Nations, Nikki Haley, stunningly declaring that the Americans no longer needed UN authorization to invade or occupy another nation. Ambassador Haley's shock declaration that the U.S. is able to fight for justice in Syria without UN approval, this report continues, grotesquely distorts the very meaning of justice, as what the Americans are actually doing to the Syrian nation is more likened to outright genocide than anything else, and as evidenced by the BBC revealing how the U.S. is protecting ISIS terrorists, the U.S.-led war against ISIS is killing 31 times more civilians than claimed, and the staggering stockpiles of weapons used by ISIS shown to have nearly all been provided by the U.S., all of which has led the International Criminal Court to open up a war crimes investigation against U.S. military and CIA leaders. So destabilizing to the entire world, in fact, has the deep state-led U.S. become, this report further notes, longtime America ally Pakistan is now switching its allegiance to China. The European Union has created a new defense pact as the U.S. can no longer be relied upon, and NATO member Turkey has just removed its military forces from a scheduled drill due to the Americans labeling this longtime ally of theirs as the enemy. Like trying to find a raging river flowing in the middle of the Sahara Desert, this report concludes, so is it like trying to find anyone in authority in the West warning their peoples of what is soon to come, with the only exception being the esteemed former British leader Lord Paddy Ashdown, who is now warning that a world that finds the West supporting one side, the Sunnis, and Russia supporting the other, the Shiites, is the greatest danger, and who correctly says that we are very, very close to it, and who warns, if that does not strike a shiver down your backbone, then you have not spent enough time studying history.